Alright, my super fam, so Baizhu's banner has finally been dropped a few hours ago, and so as usual, let's have a quick look into some of the most important points you want to take notes of before you actually go ahead and pull on the banner. The good thing though is that back in our banner's prediction, we did manage to predict mostly correct this time. We predicted Fischl to be on the banner. We also talk a bit about Candice, but I kind of crossed her out because I didn't think I should be the one to appear on the banner, so that is that. Now guys, talking about character pooling, if you are new to the channel, then be sure to subscribe as I will be having a giveaway at 35,000 subs for my subscriber. It's not a far away, and also it can be a big chance for you to grab a lot of Primo gems. So with that guys, let's just dive into today's video. Now first off, let's talk quickly about Baizhu. Of course, it's not officially released at this point, so all of the information we discuss are usually pre-release analysis. But overall guys, when it comes to Baizhu, personally I would say that he's pretty much a preference character, because the biggest thing right now is that we are already having lots of Dendro character being released. It feels just as though that there was at least one new Dendro character coming within every single patch ever since patch 3.0. So with that, Baizhu is in a lot of competition. Now the best thing that he's going to be doing is going to be his healing. Of course, that is his role and it is something that he is best at. He also gives you access to a bit of shielding, which is good because even though the shield is weak and will be broken easily, it does give you a bit of resistance to interruption, which is pretty decent, and also giving your team a little bit of support towards those Dendro reactions damage, and overall quite nice. However, from the look of it at this point in time guys, Baizhu is having a lot of downsides as well. The biggest one is currently going to be his Dendro application. If he's going to be kind of like a support, sometimes sub DPS character in the team, usually those characters are in charge of elemental application. However, if you're on the team and you're unable to do that, or you're lacking those abilities, then you are actually pulling your team down quite a lot, and will largely, for example, have another Dendro DPS character on field so that you can ensure that the Dendro application is supplied so that other character can do Dendro reactions. Also currently it seems that he's going to be lacking in personal damage as well. He isn't going to be dealing a lot of damage by himself, or most of the time it's non-existent for the team. Therefore, apart from providing your team with a bit of shielding and a lot of overhealing most of the time, you will have to justify using him instead of other Dendro character at this point. Namely, you know, character like Yao Yao, who is also very good, and she's a 4-star. Of course guys, I don't always want to compare with other characters. However, Yao Yao is in such a similar role that it's just worth mentioning her, and also Yao Yao's Dendro application is just off the chart. She's just really good with that, and Yao Yao's constellation is also very good, which is something you will be able to get here and there as long as you play the game. However, Baizhu, unless you invest into her, you won't have access to his constellations. And so of course, as I have said, Baizhu feels a lot like a preference character right now, especially if your account has already have a lot of Dendro character invested. Then it will be just easier for you to use your invested character already and build a team around them rather than a whole new character, who I do feel is going to be a bit tough when it comes to the meta. But again, if you do really love him as a character, then of course goes for him by any means. His animation is still pretty decent, I really like it, so I really do wish you good luck on your pulls. Next we have Ganyu guys. This is, I believe, her second rerun. I don't know if it's her third, but I think it's her second rerun at this point. So she has already been back quite a few times, and hopefully those of you who have already wanted her was able to get her. But for those of you who still wanting her, I can be sure that you will try to grab her at this point. Now for those who are still considering, I would say that Ganyu in patch 3.0 after Dendro reaction release, I would say she's still basically performing the same. Not too much difference because of course Cryo don't have any reactions relating to Dendro, so everything of the upsides onto Ganyu is still on her, which is that she's still one of the best DPS in the game. Her damage level is still very high, especially when it comes to free to play building. You don't have to invest a lot into Ganyu as you will still see high number from from her charge attack. Speaking about her gameplay, it is also one of the most unique in the game because she's still the only character right now in Genshin that focuses 100% on using charge attack, so that will bring you some uniqueness into your gameplay. If you are looking for something like that, do keep in mind though that both character is quite hard to play on mobile, so if you are especially on mobile, you might want to test Ganyu out before actually pulling for her. Apart from her personal damage and charge attack gameplay, her skill and kits really support her on her own, especially with her burst and passive talent. It does buff her cryo damage and also covers a lot of AoE, even though her charge attack is one of the best AoE charge attack in the game already. Therefore, you can many of the time see people just go ahead and use Ganyu solo in the Abyss, because Ganyu on herself is very much a complete character. If you're still wondering, however, if there is anything new to Ganyu after Dendro release, I would say that mostly there's gonna be like a freeze team for her. You can try using Ganyu into that. However, usually Ganyu isn't the best candidate when it comes to freeze team, but if you want, you can still use her in that team. And other than that, as far as I know, I don't think there's anything too optimal that is worth discussing right now. If you do have anything else, just feel free to leave it down in the comment section so everyone know, and we can discuss more down there as well. Regarding Ganyu's downside, usually as I have said a lot of the time about Ganyu, she doesn't really have too much of a downside apart from her charge attack gameplay, which is of course everything surrounds that. Therefore, if you've been playing her for a long time, you might feel a bit bored, and also her lack of resistance to interruption is very important. Usually you want a shielder on Ganyu's team, because if she does get interrupted during her charge attack, that's a huge loss in DPS. So those are the things you want to keep in mind regarding Ganyu. And so next, let's hop on to the banners and have a look. The 4-star roster this time around, I would say, is pretty decent if you're looking into individual character. First off, of course, we have our newest Kaveh, who's gonna be featured. Now, if you really want an in-depth information of Kaveh, I already have a very detailed video discussing on that, so you can check out this video right after this. But from the video, I generally would say that Kaveh is a preference character again at this point, because in the same situation with Baizhu, he's also gonna have a lot of competition with your other Dendro character. Now, Kaveh's kit is kind of unique in that I would say he's more of a niche character to use many of the time, and using him would require you to build kind of a team that actually surrounds him rather than him being a support, because if you have read his skills and kits, he's gonna be basically a driver on field for the team, and in order for you to actually utilize his coverage skill, you have to have him on field, otherwise he would have almost no support whatsoever for you. So if you're someone who is really liking Kaveh and you know you love his character design and want to use him, that is perfect. He's going to be a really nice character to have you play around with, because with his unique ability to cause Dendro cores to explode instantly, just a little bit similar to Nilou, though he's not going to be limited to just Dendro and Hydro team like Nilou, so you have a lot more team potential to build around him. But other than that, guys, since he usually don't really have any personal damage because it is very low, you're still going to be relying on many of the character on your team to deal damage for you, and Kaveh is just going to be acting as the on-field driver. And we have Fischl. If you've been playing Genshin for a long time, you would know how OP Fischl is. She's still one of the best off-field Electro supports for you, and especially after Dendro release, Electro character has been buffed, and that goes for Fischl as well. Now is the time for you to have a chance to grab her constellation, because her constellation is really good. So I do wish you good luck and try to get a C6 Fischl as fast as you can. Candice is a character on a banner that we usually would say is an odd one out for Hoyoverse, because usually Hoyo just put in a character that just don't really make sense when it comes to resonance for the 5-star characters, which is kind of the case here, because Candice is a character that focuses on buffing your normal attack and in more Hydro reaction teams. Now, of course, you can still have her on Baizhu and Ganyu's team, but when it comes to Baizhu and Ganyu specifically, quickly, she doesn't really have resonance onto them because of course these two characters ain't gonna be on field just doing normal attack for you unless you want to build like a normal attack Baizhu, but other than that, that's not the case most of the time. However, Candice herself, guys, it is kind of worth to get her constellation because she's still a pretty decent character to have and play here and there, because of course she's the only character that have access to helping you with Hydro Infusion at this point. So depending on what kind of team you are using, you can still build some fun team around her. And so overall, the 4-star character on the banner is pretty decent if you want to try and pull for them, but of course if you don't want any 5-star character and your pity is already there, it wouldn't be a worth it for you and try and snipe these characters, as you will get a chance later on as well. Now talking about the weapon banner, guys, what do you think about this? I would say that unless you really want the Amos bow, guys, don't go on this weapon banner because overall it's not good. First of all, our newest weapon, our Jade 4 Splendor, it's not a really good weapon, guys, and it's literally the worst weapon within our Jade weapon lines, because at this point we have a lot of other catalysts that just can be replaced with this weapon and it can even perform better here and there. So unless you're WoW and wanting to have a full and complete build towards your Baizhu, just don't try and grab our Jade 4 Splendor. For the 4-star weapon, the best two you would want to get is just going to be the Sack and Favonius Lance. The other three, most of the time you're not going to be using them. However, these two, Sack Sword and Favonius Lance, have already appeared across a lot of weapon banners, so I do feel that you will have a lot of other chance, and I wouldn't really recommend you to use up your Primogems and try to get the 4-star weapon just to risk and then end up with a 5-star weapon that you don't really need. And then finally, guys, let's quickly discuss a bit about our future banners. If you have been following around in the info, you should have heard some of the characters that have the potential to be back. Obviously this is not confirmed, it is only a speculation, and these 4 characters may be having their appearance once again, which are gonna be Yae Miko, Yoimiya, Alhaitham, and Kazuha. Now of course I wouldn't really have time to be discussing all 4 of these characters. However, the one that you need to actually keep in mind of is gonna be Kazuha if you haven't already have him on your team, because of course Kazuha is still one of, if not still the best support we are having in the game. Most of the team right now and Abyss still utilize Kazuha because he just basically do everything well as a sub DPS and support character for your team. So I would really recommend you to try and have him on any of your accounts, because I don't think there'll be anyone who regrets pulling for him. And the other 3, of course, is going to be more of a preference character, but of course I will be discussing more about them if they do make their appearance back. But I just want to lay out all of the potential characters that are coming back out there so that you have a better understanding and have a clearer decision making when it comes to pooling for the second phase of patch 3.6, because as you can see, some of the characters that may be back in 3.7 is really nice. And so guys, that's all I have to say regarding our newest banner of the second phase. I hope that the video have been helpful to you. Again, if you do have any questions, just feel free to leave it down in the comment section, and I or any of our lovely Genshin players out there will get to you in the comment. Now guys, if you're still having trouble pulling for some of the character, I have a very in-depth video talking about that, or if you want more info on Kaveh, I also have that covered as well, so be sure to check out the video on screen right now. Again, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, as there will be a giveaway at 35,000 subs. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, guys, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.